Hi folks, and welcome to a video about Tymna, Thrasios and why I don't think that they should see a ban. This video is pretty much going to be about multicolored versus monocolored, 4-color decks and also 5-color decks versus monocolored decks and dual-colored decks. Let's begin with the argument that is up for a ban. So I pretty much understand and almost agree with this argument that choose a commander, pick any combo, and the answer is that you should probably replace that commander with Thrasios and Tymna. Or the answer could also be that you should replace that commander with the 5-color identity Nigella. In general, the more colors your deck has access to, the better your deck is going to be, but also Tymna and Thrasios and also Nigella are pretty damn strong commanders. They're giving you a lot of color identities, but are also being really good commanders in general. For example, if you wanna build a Rona Disciple of Gix Scepter build, the answer is pretty simple. You should swap out Rona with Tymna and Thrasios. Now you have a much better commander and you have 2 more colors. In general, this could be a really good philosophy to follow in balancing commanders. A 5-color commander shouldn't really have a good ability. That 5-color commander is already giving you a really good deck. So Shield of Alara is a good example of this. It doesn't really do much. While a 3-color commander should do something that is good, but not something you could exploit. Kess is a good commander. Example of this. She does something, but it's not broken. She lets you cast 1 spell from your graveyard each of your turns. That could be exploited a little bit, but I think Kess is quite balanced towards her color that she gives. While a monocolored commander should be extremely good. I think Yisan the Wandering Bard is a really good example of this. He is tutoring creatures and puts them directly into play. He is extremely limited because of the only color identity of green, and the big reason why Yisan has dropped in power level is because he is a monocolored commander. The things that he can fetch is limited to green and colorless. And today we have Cisse, a combination of both Shield of Alara and Yisan. She's pretty much doing the exact same thing as Yisan in a little bit of a different way, but she also gives you 5-color identities. But my position on this topic is that we shouldn't ban these beauties, because I actually think and predict that Wizard of the Coast is gonna fix this problem without actually even knowing about it. I even consider that Wizard of the Coast is already fixing this problem a little bit step by step. Let me show you how. The manuscript for this video is something that I've been writing for quite some time now, but I'm actually quite happy that I've waited with this video until after Modern Horizon, because the R&D did something that I actually predicted them kinda doing. They printed more snow cards. Now how on God's earth does snow have a positive effect on monocolored decks? It does because 5-color decks can't actually play snow cards. Before we continue down the rabbit hole of this video, I should mention that none of the things that I'm gonna be showcasing in this video are gonna fix the problem. But everything that I'm showcasing is in a pathway towards fixing the problem. The big thing with this snow card, Dead of Winter, is that the pink bladed boss can't actually utilize it. She can play it, but she can't utilize it. If Nigella actually casts Dead of Winter, X might be 0 or 1, and that actually isn't good. If you wanna make this card functional inside your deck, you have to include a whole bunch of basic lands, snow-covered basic lands that is. And that is gonna be a huge problem for a 5-color deck's mana base. Another great frosty example is this Snowland Scrying Sheets, a land. So tap this land, 1 snow mana and then 1 generic, so a total of 3 mana if you include Scrying Sheets. Look at the top card of your library. If that is snow, like this thing, put it inside your hand. So it is inconsistent, but it is card draw, and I actually view this as a decent card draw. 3 mana inconsistent card draw. And if you increase the snow, if you go snow tribal, you will increase consistency. You will increase the chance that this draws a card. The only way that you can actually go snow tribal is to make sure that pretty much 1/3 of the deck is snow, and the only way to do that is to include a lot of basic snow lands. Now there are some other snow covered permanents, but these are not enough. You have to go a whole bunch of snow to do it, and that's impossible for a 5-color deck to do. But winter is over and all the snow is gone. It's pretty much summertime, and I don't think Wizard of the Coast is going to be printing more snow cards in the near future. But let's stay on the topic of lands. In my video primer about Nigella, I did mention Ancient Tomb, and the thing I said was that Nigella can't actually play Ancient Tomb for a very simple reason. First up, Ancient Tomb would be great inside that Nigella Blade Blossom deck, but the fact that this thing taps for 2 colorless mana is a huge problem, because she wants to achieve this mana. So Ancient Tomb becomes pretty much a dead card once you have Nigella in play and you want to go infinite combat steps. Now let me give you some examples with Thrasios and Tymna and lands. 4 colors is still putting a lot of demand on your mana fixing, so a utility card like Cavern of Souls is a little bit tricky to include. Now you could actually include Cavern of Souls inside a TNT deck. It's not gonna put that much pressure on your mana base. You have a lot of signets and other things that are gonna fix the mana for you, some Bird of Paradise, etc, etc. But then you wanna maybe include some other utility lands like Bosei, who shelters all. It's a good card to make sure that maybe your Ad Nauseam or Demonic Tutor or Flash gets uncounterable. And then you want to maybe include this thing that will put a +1/+1 counter on your Tymna, so Tymna is a 3/3 that will increase her potential of actually attacking and drawing a card. It's a cute semi-utility card. But this could also be considered. Tap it, or tap 1 mana, this becomes a 2/2 that can attack, and now Tymna can draw a card from this land. This is actually a card that Tymna could utilize. But we also have this thing, it comes into play untapped. If Thrasios is gone, or let's say that we play another commander with Tymna instead, then you could use this land for 5 mana to draw a card. That is good to have when you have nothing better to do. I don't think that this card is actually that good, but it's something I would like to mention. And we also have this thing, this is interaction against graveyards. It comes into play untapped, tapped for colorless. You can sacrifice it to exile all graveyards, and sometimes that's huge. Interaction on a land, I love it. We also have this thing. If an opponent steals our Tymna or Thrasios, that actually happens. Gilded Drake is quite common. It's a staple. Gilded Drake is a staple inside this format, and this is a counter towards Gilded Drake. But we also have this thing, and this is a card that Thrasios loves. This is a card that every TNT deck should play, because you can use this to tutor for Isochron Scepter and win the game with Thrasios. If you play Isochron Scepter in your Thrasios deck, you don't always do that. So a high multicolored deck have problems including these lands because they will put too much pressure on your mana base fixing. But a monocolored deck, a commander like Yisan, have no problem including them whatsoever, because the only focus he has is to produce green, and he could produce colorless as well. In the end, including these cards will do something really cool. It will give Yisan 1 more color, the color of colorless. Just like I mentioned previously in this video, winter isn't coming back. I don't think they're gonna be printing snow cards in the near future. Sometime in the future, they're probably gonna be printing more snow cards. But in every set, they are actually printing some new, non-basic, colorless tapping lands. Now, of course, not all of these new colorless tapping utility lands are gonna be valid and playable inside cEDH, but some of them actually are. Sometimes Wizards nails it and gives us something that is actually good. For example, this Hall of Heliod's Generosity is actually playable. It taps for colorless, which means it's tricky to include in a 5 and 4 colored deck. And even if the card actually isn't that good, for example this new Field of Dead is cute and a bit casual and not really that valid for cEDH. Producing zombie tokens is not really that amazing, but it is a utility card that a dual color deck or a free color deck could include, because most dual and free color decks include a lot of different lands with different names. And if the game goes long, if you have nothing better to do, and if this card doesn't disrupt your mana base, then this is a card you could consider, because it's gonna give you that backup beatdown plan B. But there are more things than lands that Wizards of the Coast are doing that is slowly fixing this. Let's look at Necropotence. I think we can all agree that Necropotence is a really good card. Let's also look at the mana cost of this enchantment. 3 black mana. That is actually rather tricky for a full color deck to cast. Now you could include Necropotence in Thrasios and Tymna, but if you suddenly also want to include something like Future Sight, that is gonna be a problem. 3 blue mana for Future Sight and 3 black mana from Necropotence, to make sure that your mana base is able to produce 4 mana, but also 3 mana of that and 3 mana of that is demanding a lot. This is actually even tricky for a 3-colored deck to achieve. It's easy for a dual-colored blue and black deck to achieve. And Wizards of the Coast are actually printing new cards with this 3 of the same colored. For example, this new bear enchantment. Now this bear enchantment isn't actually that good in general. Oh well, it's actually an upgrade for the Gitrog monster. With this you can produce infinite tokens and Dakmor Salvage and Kostelek in your deck. And that is cool. This is pretty much gonna be another combo piece for the Gitrog monster. So that's a good upgrade for a dual color deck. But this card in general isn't really that cEDH viable. But I do believe that eventually Wizards of the Coast is gonna print another Necropotence, or not another Necropotence copy, but something on the same Necropotence power level that has a cost like this thing. I would also like to showcase a third example, the example of we can't make it more broken. And this is an example with the Bloodpod, Tana and Tymna. So here is a new card, or well, it's not really a new card anymore. It's a Gruul enchantment, green and red. This is not an huge upgrade for the Bloodpod deck. This is an option for the Bloodpod deck. But Cinder Vines is an upgrade for Gruul. Now I don't have a Gruul commander to showcase in front of this video, because there are not really that many valid Gruul commanders at all. Most Gruul commanders are really casual orientated. Another example is Paradox Engine, and now you might be skeptic, because Paradox Engine, Thrasios, Tymna, PST is actually the strongest deck currently inside this format. But the thing here is that Paradox Engine doesn't make, or can't make, Thrasios and Tymna more broken. However, Paradox Engine helps a lot of other commanders becoming close to equally broken. While Paradox Engine is key to make Captain CC actually cEDH valid. The same for Selvala. Selvala could also utilize the Paradox Engine, and the same thing with Arcanis. Arcanis could also utilize the Paradox Engine. Joira and Rona, Disciple of Gix, are also examples of commanders that could use this time machine to potentially break the game. And the tricky argument that I'm trying to make is that eventually Wizards of the Coast will print another Paradox Engine, or not another Paradox Engine variant, but another card on the same power level like Paradox Engine that Thrasios and Tymna could utilize and build a deck around. But it's tricky to make something that's already broken become more broken. It's easier to make something that is less powerful become equally broken to Thrasios and Tymna. The card that Wizards of the Coast will print that is a variation to Paradox Engine's power level is also gonna benefit other commanders that are weaker and need upgrades. So I guess we're back where we started. Let me present Rona, Disciple of Frost. Here we have a deck focused at Paradox Engine, Scepter and Dramatic Reversal. Pretty similar to the PST, Thrasios and Tymna. But the big difference with this deck and Thrasios and Tymna is that this deck utilizes some snow powers, Scrying Sheets and Dead of Winter, and also this Froststone Cold Steel Heart. But she also brought the power of necropotence and future sight with her. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do, consider subscribing or even share my videos. Or you can also support me on Patreon.